All right then, here we go, GBFC 2. It has been a while. Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to GBFC 2 for what is a preview for England versus Italy in the Euro 2020/21 final, but also just a little sit-down chat, roundup of emotions and feelings on what has been an incredible tournament, which I think, when we look at what is going to happen to English football, Boris has pretty much confirmed that from the start of the Premier League season, full stadiums will be allowed. So this match, even though it's England versus Italy, which obviously, despite wearing a semi-Italian coloured shirt today, this is very much just a training shirt for no team whatsoever but myself. This is kind of the culmination of a year and a half of time in sport where we've kind of had this horrible storm cloud over our heads, which has been COVID, and it looks as though things are starting to assume like they are going to become more normal again, particularly in a sporting sense, where you look at Wembley for the past few matches towards the end of this tournament, there's been more and more people in the stadiums. It feels like we've got our football back. You know, we've been watching on TV throughout the last season and a half in the Premier League, and it's not been the same, no matter which way you look at it. Like, Chelsea winning a Champions League final in Porto is obviously up there as one of the greatest feelings and days of my life. But it would have been even better if, not just if I was at the stadium, but if there were at least tens of thousands of fans inside that stadium to enjoy and witness the moment in the flesh. And when Wembley opens its doors on Sunday, whether England win, lose, or, well, you can't draw a final. Whether England win or lose, it's going to feel like a special moment. Just that whole time building up to the game, even today. You know, today's Saturday. I'm recording this Saturday morning my time. You guys are mostly asleep, I guess, right now, wherever you're watching in the world. The whole weekend this weekend is leading up to 90 minutes that one way or another changes the shape of footballing history as we, as an Englishman, and you if you're English as well, or wherever you are in the world. Everybody remembers finalists, but people don't remember the runners-up. People remember the winners, and England have got a chance to lift a major trophy for the first time in 55 years. The first time in my lifetime, the first time since we lifted the World Cup at Wembley in 1966. And I tell you what, it feels odd. You know, I've been very fortunate this year to see Chelsea, my team, lift the Champions League, which is the holy grail of club football. And it's very difficult always to understand the crossover of emotion between the club that you support, who you follow Wednesday night, if you're lucky, and Saturday or Sunday in the weekend, and then your country, who, as an England fan, we'll talk a little bit about my feelings of supporting England over the years, but you support your country obviously every day, but in footballing terms, every couple of months, and in a major footballing competition, there's only a chance to experience the ecstasy and glory of a victory, or potentially, heaven forbid, lifting a trophy every 2 years. So I feel as though when it actually comes around, even if, you know, you like me, I've been so frustrated with England over the years, and it means that the lead up to an international game, I don't get as excited as I do when it's Chelsea. Because with Chelsea, they could lose one week and then win 4-0 the next week, and then the next thing you know, that loss before the 4-0 win is forgotten. With England, we have multiple years to reflect and remember times where we should have done better, could have done better, disappointed, which has been, I guess, the overarching feeling and emotion of following England during my lifetime. It's that we've had so many quality players. We've had squads who, when you look at the squads of certain other countries in the build-up to a tournament, you look at what England have had over the years. You remember Ferdinand, Terry, Gerrard, Lampard, Rooney, this kind of core. When we look at those squads, we think England should, on paper, perform here. We should be getting to at least the semi-final, and we could potentially dream of a final with a squad like this. But with England teams in the past, not only have we been disappointed as fans, but you can see now the professionals and the world-class during their time players who were in that England squad, the likes of Lampard, Gerrard, Ferdinand, Terry. These guys have publicly spoken about how it was so difficult for these players to shake off their club rivalries between themselves within the dressing room. That is the fundamental reason why England have severely underperformed in major tournaments, which I think this is 100% the reason why. Because if you look at club rivalries over the past 20 years, before that, there were only really a handful of teams that were really competing for the trophies, whereas now it is so competitive. I think it's got to a point where this golden generation, which again, I hate to use that term, but it's most commonly known, so you guys understand. The golden generation of players that England had didn't achieve really anything as a nation because of this internal conflict within themselves to not be able to let go of what their club football meant to them and just perform and remove egos to perform for England. Whereas now, I think the most beautiful thing about this England side, first of all, the obvious one is the age of the players. These players, like you or I, have grown up watching and supporting England, seeing the failures, experiencing the failures, taking it all in, but as professionals, they're aware that they're in a position where they understand now that it was egos that took so much away from the potential of this England team. They're all very young. They're all kind of pretty much in the same boat together. And it's as if all of a sudden now, England have gone from being a squad of players full of massive egos who just override each other and then end up leaving the nation disappointed. Incredibly talented group of young players who just seem to absolutely love one another, be it Declan Rice plays for West Ham, Mason Mount for Chelsea. I know that's a bad example because they're already best friends, but you look at the plethora of talent in this England side. Phil Foden, Man City, Mason Mount, Chelsea. They just played each other in a Champions League final, linking up together brilliantly on the pitch. You've got players like Calvin Phillips, who's come into the squad, and I think there were very few, myself included. I did not think Calvin Phillips, when he started that opening game, I did not think he was going to manage to keep hold of that place throughout the entirety of the tournament. I thought it was a bold choice from Gareth Southgate, but it's a choice that has been vindicated 110%. That pivot of Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips has been sensational for England so far. You've then got the man who many people have criticised, myself included to be honest, and even in the first couple of games, Raheem Sterling was scoring our goals, Harry Kane wasn't bagging them in, and we're all sat here worried about him. But even with Sterling, for the first few games, even when he scored England's first 2 and only 2 goals in the group stage, I was thinking, you know, I'd love to see Jack Grealish out there more. I think he can offer more. I'd love to see Jadon Sancho being given more of a look in. And then all of a sudden, you get that Germany game. Harry Kane steps up. England, for the first 10 minutes of that Germany game, I had my head in my hands. I was thinking, I know it's 0-0 and we've got 80 minutes still to play, but blimey, this could end up being embarrassing. We didn't come out of the blocks. We looked as if we were nervous. The Germans were coming at us, but lo and behold, England hold again. We have the most incredible defence, which I've never seen anything this good from England in a major tournament in terms of the consistency of the defending, the tackles that are coming in, positionally. I want to massively shout out Kyle Walker. You guys know I am a huge, huge Reece James fan, but Kyle Walker, and even Trippier when he's played too, I think Kyle Walker in particular, if you look at that game against Denmark, sensational, covering all of the pitch, coming back, making last-ditch tackles, sprinting, putting absolutely everything on the line for the 3 lines on his shirts. Kyle Walker, sensational. Harry Maguire, absolutely incredible. John Stones, incredible. And Luke Shaw, I mean, again, I'd love to see Chilwell in the team, but I'm an England fan. And Luke Shaw, right now, is, in my opinion, the best left-back in the world. I think he's been that good. We've already talked about Declan Rice, Calvin Phillips, those 2 sensational. Mason Mount, I'm not going to give too much blue-tinted glasses here, but he's been brilliant, hasn't he? Mason Mount, he started the semi-final. He's been excellent. Throughout the whole team, everyone is performing. You've got Bukayo Saka, who's come in. He's starting matches for England. Can you believe this? Like, the kid, he's so young. He's playing for Arsenal, mid-table Premier League side. Sorry, I had to throw it in. But he's been exceptional as well. Harry Kane's come good. But I want to talk more about that Germany game because I remember throwing my TV remote at the television in 2010 when Frank Lampard scored an amazing goal in the last 16 of a World Cup tie against Germany when England could have drawn level. And then who knows what could have happened after that. We could sit here speculating for hours, days, weeks and months on end. But when that didn't go in, I remember specifically being so dejected that I just knew England were not going to qualify to the quarterfinals of that 2010 World Cup. When that goal went in, I just knew that we were going to lose to the Germans. I knew it. And when we draw Germany in the last 16 of this Euro 2021 competition, it's Germany. You know, how are we going to beat Germany? You look at the form of Havertz. Yes, in the group stage, France, Portugal, Hungary. Germany weren't exceptional, but it's Germany. When I hear the name Germany and it's in a footballing conversation against England in a major competition, I tremble. I worry, I'm scared whether England have got a better squad than Germany or not, which I believe that we do. And here we have the proof. England are in the final of Euro 2021. But I was worried. In that second half, I saw everything that I've wanted to see from an England team throughout my entire lifetime. We saw us dug in. We see us be absolutely clinical in front of goal and dominate things. We were getting Olayed in the 84th minute against Germany. Can you believe this? England were sensational. We move into Ukraine. Absolutely comprehensive of a quarter-final victory that you can ever see. Yes, Ukraine are probably not the toughest quarter-final opponents that we could have ever had, but having beaten Germany in the last 16, you gift yourself the opportunity to get that favourable draw, to get a little bit of luck, which I think even the football fans who hate England the most will be very aware that if you really break down luck over the years in major competitions, England haven't really been the abundant ones in that department. So getting Ukraine in the quarterfinal is quite lucky. But at the same time, the performance that was put in was nothing shy of phenomenal from Gareth Southgate's man. It was clinical. We start very early with an early goal, and we're just sat there thinking, what are we watching? You know, throughout the entire tournament, it's been enjoyable for a start to see England playing well. Throughout the group stage, it was a bit like, oh dear. But in the knockout stages, it has been so enjoyable, which I've never been able to say that in my lifetime. The World Cup in 2018 was good, but we scraped past Colombia. We were pretty good against Sweden, and then we all know what happened after that. So it was never jaw-droppingly good. Whereas at the moment from England, chin to the ground kind of stuff. You know, Ukraine was absolutely fantastic. We move into the semi-final. Denmark, who have been everyone's second favourite team, unless you're Danish, which of course they're your number one. Denmark have been an absolute credit to this competition. What we witnessed in that game against Finland was shocking. It was horrifying to see what happened to Christian Eriksen, and then the performance when the players come back out on the pitch from Denmark was poor, which absolutely understandable. They lose to Finland, and then it's very much one of those where you think that a team that could have been incredibly strong in this competition and maybe dark horses, you wonder if they're going to be able to pick themselves back up again after such a horrifying incident. But Denmark did exactly that. As the tournament progressed, they got better and better. They looked like a team who could really give England some problems. And then they step up with that free kick. And England concede their first goal and their only goal they've conceded in the run-up to this final. And as an England fan, you just sit there and you think, surely not. That is an absolutely incredible free kick. Deserves to go in. People can question Pickford, but I don't even want to waste my time with that. I think Pickford's been amazing in this competition, even with some of the errors that we saw against Denmark with a just awful distribution, which is weird because I always thought that Pickford's distribution was pretty damn good. You know, the long kicks he does, the throws, he's very, very good in that department. But against Denmark, it was shaky. But again, England shaking in the latter stages of a major competition normally only has one conclusion to the narrative, which is heartbreak for English people, heartbreak for England as a nation, and heartbreak for the squad. However, there is something very, very different about this team. I bring it back to what I said earlier about egos being removed, about players playing for the shirt, not just for themselves. And that is what we saw from England in the second half, leading into extra time. Huge, what we saw from England. I want to say that in terms of enjoying a spectacle, a football match, I often find it very difficult unless my team are really, really just dominating things. When my team's involved, be it Chelsea or England, I find it very difficult when England are either losing or Chelsea are losing or it's a draw to really complement the spectacle of a football match, because I have too much invested in the overall end outcome of the game to be able to sit there complimenting things as it's being played whilst my team are not winning the match. During the Denmark-England game, every 5 minutes, I was saying to the boys around me, how good of a football match is this? How good is it to see England competing and looking like, as things get later in the game, the pendulum shift is going towards England's favour, which I think, again, people can question the penalty. I do want to talk about it because I like to try and be a bit more neutral here on this channel. I think it's one of those penalties where you've got I was thinking about this. You've got like a spectrum of whether a penalty is a penalty at 0 to 100. If someone just gets two-footed leg break in the box, it's 100% a penalty. If someone just falls over the ball with no defender around him, it's 100% 0, not a penalty. In terms of the scale of what happened in the Raheem Sterling incident, I think it's very key to remember. It isn't a blatant dive. No matter which way you look at it, I don't believe that it's a blatant dive because there is contact, minimal, yes, minimal, from the first defender on the leg, and then there's contact again. And I think in these kind of moments, as a player, knowing the balance of these rules and whether it can be seen as a dive or even a penalty, I think Sterling does the right thing. And I think he does the right thing, obviously, for England, which is go down in the box, get yourself a penalty, better chance to score a goal. But I also think the grounds in which he had to make that decision were in favour of abiding by the rules of the game. So as much as anybody who doesn't support England will turn around and say it's not a penalty, England are lucky, Denmark were robbed, I think even if we break it down as from the incident only as a whole, I still think on that 0 to 100 penalty spectrum, it's definitely closer towards a penalty than not being towards a penalty based off of all of the actions that occur when Sterling enters the box. So that's my thought on that. And as for England winning the game, some people say it's undeserved, but you look at the balance of play. If you want to look at XG, you want to look at shots on target, England dominate things. And I think in terms of the bigger footballing picture, England were the better team. And even towards the last 5 minutes of the game, Denmark were virtually throwing in the towel. I think England fully deserve to be in a major competition final, and the fact it's against Italy is incredibly exciting because this Italy team have been incredibly impressive. They're on an amazing run. They have an incredible team spirit, very similar to that of England. So I think in terms of the best bonds that we've seen from teams, I think Denmark, Italy and England have been the three standout teams in terms of seeing a togetherness on the pitch, seeing cohesiveness in build-up play, seeing just combinations that you see in club football that you don't always see in international football. In international football, there's often moments of individual brilliance. You look at Neymar for Brazil, you look at Messi for Argentina in the competition this year in South America. There's a lot of individual moments, but with this England team in particular, everyone's putting in a shift. And the way that we managed to maintain possession and kill the game in the latter stages of that semi-final in extra time against Denmark, I think is absolutely huge. And I think going into this game against Italy, I don't want to sit here like building teams and who I think is going to do this, who I think is going to do that, because I think at this point, for me, I've just enjoyed this competition from the perspective of just enjoying as a football fan, not feeling the pressure to make videos, just enjoying the situation as an England fan. And I will say this now, I was thinking about going home for the Euros, and then I didn't because obviously I've got a dog, got a cat, everything else going on here. This is my life, I live here. And now, Bali, which has not had lockdowns pretty much for the entire time of COVID, we've been so blessed here that whilst there's been lockdowns everywhere else in the world, Bali decided to go into a flipping lockdown for the beginning of the knockout stages of this tournament. So in terms of going to a crazy pub or a bar, not possible. So it's pretty much just sit here and enjoy it with your closest, which is a real shame for England in a major competition. I wish I was home with my family, but I'm not. But I will say, if you guys want to see an incredible, wholesome piece of footballing content, I'll leave a link in the description to James Alcott's video where he surprises his father with Euro 2021 final tickets for England versus Italy. It's a wonderful video. I won't use any more. I'll just say definitely go and check it out. Subscribe to James, an amazing content creator, link down below. But yeah, I wish I was at home with some of you lot, my friends, my family, to watch the game. I've never, ever, ever, ever been able to even be confident that England can win a major final. I can't believe I'm saying that. But I'm actually, I can't say it. I can't. I think we're going to win. You know, I hate the whole jinxing thing. You know, I sit here for however many minutes I've been sat here and all the comments will be like, you jinxed it. You said we're going to. I think we're going to win. I think this England team is special. I think the way that we've done what we've done in the knockout rounds of the tournament, Gareth Southgate, absolute, if I had a hat on, which I should have because my hair's getting a bit long, Gareth Southgate has been exceptional. Everything about this favours England. We're at Wembley, 55 years. I hope when I next talk to you here on GBFC, hello Dogman, he's going nuts at the neighbour's dog. I hope the next time I sit here on GBFC 2 on Monday, I'll be celebrating another major victory for myself this year, but the first in 55 years for England. I'm going to say 1-0 England, Harry Kane, scoring between the 70th and 80th minute to lift England the trophy. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think is going to happen in the final on Sunday between England and Italy in the comments down below. I will see you guys. I might do a vlog of the day tomorrow, actually, because it's at 3 a.m. Monday morning, so we can do a whole day Bali vlog, well, with lockdown rules permitting, and then you guys can see my reactions and stuff. But yeah, it's been a good one. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all on Monday.